I never thought I would see this day, but the Federal Trade Commission actually said non-compete clauses in employment contracts are getting thrown out the window. They came up with a new ruling that says, hey, all those little fine print in your contracts that say you can't work at a competitor within this amount of radius from our place, hey, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So if you are in a sucky job right now, maybe it's a time to jump. But before you hand in that resignation letter or decide not to show up ever again, a lot of you guys aren't going to be covered by this decision. I'm going to tell you all about it in this episode.
What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Bonzo here on the License to Live podcast with my good friend, Dr. Jarrett.
Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
Welcome to episode 188 of License to Live. My name is Dr. Jarrett Patton, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to this show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe. And while you're there, please rate this episode, because by rating these episodes, it helps me give you the most up-to-date information about career challenges and life changes, and it helps spread the message to many others. So as I open up the show, the Federal Trade Commission has a great new ruling that's going to help lots of people who get tied up in these non-compete clauses with their employment. And it makes people work too long. It makes people miserable. And it's almost like indentured servant. You got to change your whole life around, move out of town, move out of the country. You got to go somewhere else just to get out of these contracts. And they're saying they aren't going to hang around anymore. Now, there is a big exclusion for a lot of you fire starters may not be covered, and we'll get into that in detail. But first, we're going to give a word to our sponsors.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
Hey, this is Dr. Jarrett Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. License to Live. Daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com.
Hey guys, this is Janae Noonan, and I'm here with Dr. Jarrett on License to Live. Hit the subscribe, follow the journey, let's go.
Well, first, I want to thank all of you fire starters, all the listeners of this show all across the world. I mean, when I started this podcast, I never thought I would have the success that it has today. People, not only in North America, US, Mexico and Canada are tuned in, but we have people in Europe, Spain, Germany, France, Italy, UK. We have South America. We have Brazil, Colombia. You guys have been in there. We have even folks scattered in West Africa, Australia. It is amazing. So thank you for listening to this show. And I would also just ask you to share it with one friend. Just pick out an episode that you really like and send it to them, because it helps spread this message. I can't thank you enough, and our sponsors can't thank you enough. So let's talk about non-compete clauses. These things have been a mainstay in employment contracts in the U.S. for a long time. And just recently, the Federal Trade Commission said, no, we are not standing for non-compete clauses for our U.S. employees anymore. And this is a huge change, because so many laws and rules are really favor businesses, and especially big businesses in here. Now, hey, I'm a business owner myself. I run not only the License to Live brand, but a number of other things. And the boss side of me says, well, this may not be that good, but I've never put any of my employees under a non-compete agreement, because, well, if they don't want to be here and work for me anymore, then I'd rather know that and let them have happiness and let me find a replacement. But many places, especially in the healthcare industry, say, hey, if you work here and you decide to leave for some reason, any reason at all, you cannot work in any of our competitors within a 25-mile radius or a 10-mile radius. And in this day and age, that is so far heavily in favor of the business that the singular employee that is unhappy with their job and need to get out of here, they simply can't do it, because they said, I have to sell my house. I have to move to a new state. I have to do this. And when you're thinking about how some of these large corporations work, particularly if we're thinking about healthcare, some of these things have a multi-state footprint. So it's not like I just have to move to the next county over and I'm good. I mean, you may have to move state. You may have to move out of a whole geographic region, because the businesses could enforce these clauses. And then you'd be stuck with having to defend yourself and why. And it would, just cost you lots of time and money that you didn't have. So most people just stay in an unhappy job. This is great. And in general, non-competes actually favor the businesses because it helps to keep wages lower. Well, if you're working for my organization and I pay $10 an hour, my contract says you can't work for that other organization across town and make $15 an hour, because you can't. I have this non-compete clause, and you're going to go compete against me if you work for the competitor. So it intentionally can keep wages low because people don't have to compete with market rates. It maintains a status quo of working conditions, and your working conditions may not be safe. They may not be practical. Let's think about the working conditions at the beginning of the pandemic, when there was no PPE, no personal protective equipment for people to wear. And so you just had to go in there and hope for the best with this virus we didn't know very much about at the time. And so businesses were once again encouraged, well, you could go find somewhere else, but you're going to have to go a long way away from here if you plan on working. And particularly in healthcare, and you're talking about doctors that have a ton of knowledge, they have the ability to take care of so many patients. And, if you move across town, a certain number of your patients are going to follow you right there. And so they get nervous about all of those things. So the businesses really had the upper hand on the non-compete agreement. Furthermore, people would often say it suppresses new ideas. So if people had a new idea that might work well for a company, well, they could not bring it up in that company because the company already wanted to do, the plan that they had laid out 5 years ago. And so, well, that idea dies and never gets explored because the worker keeps working. So they're anticipating the FTC after they knock this out. They said there's going to be a lot more entrepreneurs because people are going to take those ideas and put them to work. They're going to say wages will improve for people because businesses will have to remain competitive on the wages. Working conditions will improve because of this, and lots of and things. Even they want to measure in terms of new patents coming into the patent office that they're going to be following. How just the removal of this type of legislation and that is often in employee contract agreements, kicking it right out the door. So this is a fun and exciting time for a lot of you out there who may be unhappy in your job. You love the town or the area of the country that you live in, but you know if you quit your job, it's going to kick you out there to go find a new place to live. And that may not be true now for many people, which is fun. Now, of course, we know that this is going to be contested in a lot of ways. We know that there are going to be a lot of people that don't like this. And so big businesses, small businesses, medium businesses, they may stand up and try to fight this. So it probably will be tied up in legislation before it actually really goes out there to be enacted. But we'll just have to wait and see. I wanted you to know about it because a lot of people that listen to this show are looking for something different in their life. They're looking for a different way. They're looking for perhaps a different way to move up the career ladder. Maybe they're looking for another way to move on from their current position and do something that they really love to do. And I know the non-compete holds many of you back from doing this. Now, before you sign that resignation letter, there is something that you have to know about that's going to affect many of you who listen to this show. And I'm going to give you that caveat right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
The time is now to refresh your career. We help doctors, lawyers, executives, and VIPs refresh and restart. Dr. Jarrett's coaching helps you build confidence, gain more credibility, develop more leadership skills, and gain clarity in your career path. Want to climb the executive ladder or branch out on your own? We'll put your career in overdrive. Visit drjarrett.com and sign up for your free strategy session.
So anytime, any place, I want you guys to reach out to me. I mean, that's why I give this show. If you have a question, you have a concern, you have a need, and I can help you with, we don't have to have a contractual agreement. Simply give me a call, sign up for a strategy session. And I can't tell you how many strategy sessions I've given that have changed people's life, put them on the right trajectory, and gave them a different perspective simply by carving out 30 minutes of your time. So go to timewithdrjarrett.com today and set up your free strategy session. Now, before the ink dries on your resignation letter, because you're like, woohoo! The FTC even says who to email if there's a problem. So you can email noncompete@ftc.gov once it gets published in the Federal Register, and they will go investigate about people trying to enforce non-complete clauses. So, I mean, this FTC is really serious about it. I'm not quite as optimistic, but let me tell you this caveat. So you guys can get all of the information on ftc.gov. They have the entire final rule, and it's hundreds of pages that are in there. And so if you guys need some light reading to do, it's probably, I think it's over 570 pages long. Go ahead and knock yourself out. But I tried to save you guys a little bit of the shortcut. But this is a piece that you must know. And this is why many doctors may not qualify under these new rules that are going to be published, unfortunately. And this is where all the litigation is going to come in, just because people aren't going to want to have this enacted anyway. But the final rule talks about senior executives. And with senior executives, they can continue to be held under non-competes. So they didn't really say what a senior executive is. They didn't say that a senior executive has to be a CEO or a COO or a CFO or a CMO or someone who sits in that C-suite. I mean, that would be kind of helpful because that defines it as a few number of executives. But the final rule actually defines senior executives as workers earning more than $151,164 annually and who are in policy-making positions. So all of you guys that sit in management in any industry, you guys may still be at risk if you're making more than that 151 and change. I'm particularly concerned for physicians in this because so many of you guys have split roles where you may be medical directors or division chiefs or chair people of departments, or you may even, be something even larger than that, a VP or SVP. And all of you guys, no matter how higher up you are on that executive chain, tend to be in policy-making positions because the policies in healthcare are often centered around patient care, which wraps in most of these docs. And you go to any of the doctor salary things, most doctors are earning more than that $151,000. So you particularly are going to be in a bind because that non-compete can still be enforced against you. So unfortunately, it doesn't make all this, great resignation go ahead and occur for people because you're going to be stuck in a situation in which you make too much money, you are defined as a policymaker, and whether or not you're a senior executive or more, that's going to be in the eyes of the beholder and the business. And when they have sharp people that are making policy for the organization and seeing lots of patients and generating tons of revenue, way more revenue generated than their salary expends, guess what? You're still going to be in a jam. So we're going to have to wait and see how these rules apply, but at least feel assured that people are looking at it and there are going to be some ripples after this, and it still may favor the average worker. But wait until you hear something from your organization. All organizations are supposed to send out some notices in regards to this. There's even sample letters that the government gives at the FTC. So we'll just have to see. But stay tuned. I'll keep you guys posted here. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on social media at Dr. Jarrett. Spell out the word Dr. J-A-2-R-E-1-T. And remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been disengaged, dissatisfied, disgruntled, disenfranchised with your job, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe to License to Live and rate this show. Help me spread it. And thank all of you guys who listen to this show throughout the world. Until I see you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarrett's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.